Today I wanted to talk about yet another new manga. This time we're going to ancient China and follow our main character on his way to become a dashi and get rid of the monsters that plague the land. Now, I wanted to get this preview out at chapter 5, as I think 5 chapters is a fairly good point to judge a series. Jiangshi, however, ended chapter 5 on a cliffhanger that signaled a big change coming soon, so I waited for the next chapter as well before I went and made this video. And I'm really glad I did, because the newest chapter definitely changed my opinion on this series quite a bit. But for now, let's get into it, take a look at Jiangshi from the start, and see if this series is worth getting into, or if it's yet another alien area or something. We start off the story with our main character Xiao Hu and his two teammates, Xiao Yun and Zhu Li, taking on a Jiangshi, a version of monster of this series. After a short fight where they get help from Xiao Hu's partner Heihu, they manage to seal the monster away. After that, we get to know that those three now finished their training to become a dashi. I'm gonna get back to explaining dashi and Jiangshi in a bit. Don't worry, for now it's just bad guys, good guys. Once our main characters get home with the sealed Jiangshi, we get some more info on them. Xiao Hu is the adopted son of the boss of the place, the Dadaoshi. And we also find out that the three of them need to finish a final test to really become daoshi. I'm just gonna skip the test in its entirety because it's really unimaginative and cliche. Basically, it's a test set up as kind of a trap where they need to work together instead of only following their own goals. It's pretty bad and just boring and cliche. I don't know, I've seen it 1,000 times already. After this, they all pass and get to work as apprentice daoshi, working some smaller jobs. And that's where this story kind of goes on for now until chapter 6. They take on smaller jobs, get into fights with Jiangshi, and we get to know more about the world around them in the process. Before I get to my final thoughts on this series, now let's take a look at the daoshi and Jiangshi and the twist. The Jiangshi are kind of the main threat of the series. There's certainly some other villains or threats out there, but we haven't really gotten enough information on those. So Jiangshi is like the main thing. Now, the Jiangshi themselves, the series describes them as having been made using secret arts lost by time. And there's different Jiangshi of different orders. They're also marked with the order that indicates their strength. So for example, the one they fought at the very beginning is a first order Jiangshi, and the higher you go, the stronger they get. They also give a rough idea that for a order 1 Jiangshi, you need at least 10 strong villagers to take it down. And the order goes on and on. I think we've seen like order 6 mentioned. We haven't seen order 6 Jiangshi yet. The highest we've seen was the order 3. Which was pretty intense already. And next up to the daoshi side. From what we've seen so far, there's only really been 3 different positions of daoshi. There's regular daoshi, bagua daoshi, and dadaoshi. The dadaoshi is the big boss of the place, and the bagua daoshi is the group right under him. I guess you could compare those guys to the hashiras from Demon Slayer. They all got their different elements to them as well, and yeah, it's fairly similar. Now that's just the daoshi, that's the daoshi clan. However, we know that there's other clans as well, or orders. So maybe those have similar structure, or they could be very different. We don't know yet. And that's all the information and the short version of the story so far. So, would I recommend it? Well, up until chapter 5, it's really nothing special. The story is very predictable, with the test just being the most fun thing I've seen in a while. The main character is the usual guy, and the two friends seems as if they were taken straight from other series. It feels very generic. The main threat of the Jiangshi is kind of boring, for now at least. I mean, maybe it's just me, but the design is just kind of goofy for most of them. The ones we saw in chapter 5 were the only ones I kind of liked the design of. Also talking about design, what's up with those hats looking like sun collectors? And what kind of name is the way of the 5 packs of rice wine? But I'm being very negative here, so let's end on some positives for the series. This is where chapter 6 comes into play. The series for the first 5 chapters definitely showed that something big is gonna happen, and with chapter 6 we finally got to that. I don't want to get too much into what happens exactly, but to give an idea, the guys from the stupidly named clan, the probably main villains of the series, are out for revenge on the Daoshi, and they sure get their revenge. The manga always hinted about the darker theme, but with this it's really put into motion, and I'm hesitantly optimistic about the future of this manga. But that's all from me for now. I hope this video was entertaining. If anyone even watched that far, thanks a whole lot, and I hope to see you around next week when I check out yet another new manga. Probably. Anyway, have a nice week, and until next time, see ya.